We all have those bottles of bourbons and whiskeys that somehow make it to the back of our shelves when they really don't deserve to be back there. What are my 10 bottles of bourbons that made it to the back of the shelf that don't deserve that? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, and he has a brand new video. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, we all have those bottles of bourbons and whiskeys that somehow make it to the back of the shelf, whether or not it's reorganization, new bottles getting in the front row of our shelves, or for some reason, we just completely forgot about said bottle. Now, I've got 10 bottles that I dug in on my shelves to find that I was really surprised that I still had, and I'm definitely going to be sipping on because they're really darn good bottles, and I know you guys have some of those as well. So let me know in the comments below. Go check your shelves and let me know what bottles you found in the back of your shelf that you're going to start drinking again. Now, make sure you guys drop that like, smash that subscribe button, leave that comment, check the link out down below for the Patreon. But let's get into bottle number one that I'm going to be drinking again. Bottle number one actually goes to a bottle that I cracked open, I sipped, I really liked, but it was right before we moved from the bourbon room to the new area, and for some reason, this Writtenhouse Rye single barrel made it to the back of the shelf. And it does not deserve that placement on the shelf whatsoever. I really, really enjoy Rittenhouse by itself. It's a really good $25 bottle, 100 proof bottle and bond rye whiskey. And to get a single barrel of it, this was from the Barrel Drip here in Jersey. It was really, really good. For some reason, like I said, just made it to the back of the shelf after moving rooms. And it's definitely going to be drank starting today. Let's get into bottle number two. Bottle number two that I completely forgot I had is this OKI Reserve Batch 1. This comes in at 100 proof. This was one of the first reviews that I did on this channel, and for some reason, it just made itself to the back of the shelf. It's a really, really good blend of 8 to 10 year low rye bourbon, 3 to 8 year high rye bourbon, 9-year rye, 9-year corn whiskey, and 10-year light whiskey. And like I said, this was batch one. This was really, really good, and I'm definitely going to have to start sipping this again. But it's getting to the tail end of its life here, and hopefully we can finish that bottle off soon because, well, it deserves a really happy salute to its service here at the Everyday Drinker Bar. But let's get into bottle number three. Bottle number three goes to an Old Soul single barrel. This is a gift that I had gotten from one of my subscribers about a year and a half ago, and it is one of my absolute favorite bottles that I didn't even know existed. I've never heard of Old Soul. I never saw Old Soul in Jersey. He reached out to me. He said, I'm going to send you a couple bottles. Let me know your thoughts on them. And this Old Soul was absolutely surprising. I think I put it in a blind a while back, and it did pretty darn well in that blind. And again, it made itself into the back of the shelves after moving from the other room, when it definitely deserves to be front and center because of just how good it is. This was, let's see, 115.74 proof. A 2022 Private Barrel Select, 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malt, malted barley, that is. I don't see an age statement on these things, but nonetheless, absolutely delicious coming out of Mississippi. But let's get into bottle number four. Bottle number four goes to Cedar Ridge. Now, this is the barrel proof coming in at 116 proof. Cedar Ridge was kind enough about a year and a half, 2 years ago to send me a bunch of their offerings. And man, oh man, they were absolutely fantastic. This is just another culprit of the move from the other room. Again, made it to the back of the shelves. Cedar Ridge offerings are absolutely wonderful. They don't break the bank. We are looking to do a single barrel pick with them. So if you are interested in doing that, make sure you check the Patreon link down below because we're hopefully doing a pick with Cedar Ridge within the year. So you don't want to miss out on that because that will go and sell out like hotcakes. But again, Cedar Ridge barrel proof, really, really good bottle. If you find Cedar Ridge in your area, I highly, highly recommend picking them up because they are some really, really good stuff. But let's get into whiskey number five. Bourbon number five is going to go to the Baker's 7-year. And coming from Beam, it's a good bottle. You can't go wrong with it. 107 proof. It's really, really good, but there are so many other bottles out there that I think are just as good or better for the price. Now, 65, 70 bucks, it's so hard to say it's not worth it because I absolutely love the Baker 7. But I think for $20 more, if you're finding it for 75 and you spend 20 extra bucks, you're going to get a Booker's barrel strength bottle, and those are still in that 7 to 8 year range, and you're going to get a nice pretty box that goes with it, and you're still getting pretty much the same stuff. It's the Jim Beam profile that everybody loves, but there's nothing wrong with Baker 7 whatsoever. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Will I finish this? Absolutely. Will I get a backup of it? Absolutely, because it's worth it. But again, for some reason, it fell to the back of the shelves just because I had gotten better offerings from Beam that the Baker 7 just wasn't fulfilling. Now, let's get into bourbon number 6. Bourbon number 6 goes to Evan Williams Single Barrel. Now, this was a vintage barreled on 3/27/14, barrel number 112, bottled on 1/28/22. Really, really good bottle. And when I found this bottle, God, 2 years ago now at a store, this was before these made it back into this the rest of the states rather than Kentucky release only. I was like, holy cow, that's crazy. Got it for 35 bucks, and now they're sitting on shelves for like 45, 50 because now they're like an allocated release. I won't pick up another one of these only because I don't think that the price is worth it for them. It was just an absolute anomaly that I found this bottle for the price and the situation it was. But like I said, I don't think that 86 proof, these bottles are worth anything more than 35 bucks. And for what they're going for nowadays, I don't personally think that it's worth it in my personal opinion. So that's why I'll hold on to this bottle. I'll sip it slowly. I completely forgot I had it. Really, really like peanut butter bomb, peanut shell, everything that you think about peanuts, this one right here has it for you. Now, we've got a couple more bottles to get into. Let's get into bottle number 7. Our final bourbon goes to a Whiskey Town Fat Labrador Distillers. This was bottled in 2022. This was straight bourbon whiskey, finished with oak staves. This is distilled in Indiana, but bottled in San Francisco. They had reached out to me way back in 2022 when I first started my channel, and they wanted me to do a review of it, and I completely forgot about it. But I found this bottle after we moved from the other room, and I put it in the front row of my shelves, and I found myself leaning towards this bottle right here and starting off with this because it's coming in at 90 proof. And it's a really, really good 3-year 90 proof Indiana, most likely MGP bottle. But for some reason, being aged out in California, it did something different with those barrels. I really, really enjoy what this bottle has to offer as a beginning sip before I go into some higher proof stuff, because I always like to acclimate my palate before I start drinking some higher proof things. And like I said, this is definitely a bottle that I find myself starting out the night on before I get into those higher proof stuff. But that's going to do it for the bourbons. We've got 3 more bottles, and those are going to be ryes that I find myself like wondering why I have not finished these, because they are absolutely fantastic. Now, the next rye goes to the Hard Truth High Road Rye. This is a sweet mash coming in at 93 proof. And when we did our review of this bottle, I had very high praises about it because of just how sweet, and it did have those rye aspects to it. You knew it was a rye, but it was a really, really enjoyable rye. It didn't have the dill notes, it didn't have the minty notes, but it had some spice notes to it, the cinnamons and the cloves and things along those lines. But it still had some lingering sweetness to it that reminded me of a little bit about bourbon. And this is a really good rye that I think at 93 proof, a bourbon drinker can dabble into and find those notes that are a little bit different than a bourbon, and will subtly and slowly start to enjoy what rye whiskey has to offer. And for me, this one is going back in the front of the shelves so that I can dabble into it a little bit more as well, because that's just how much I enjoyed it. Now, our final two bottles are two of my favorite rye whiskeys that, for some odd reason, I just completely forgot I owned. 13th Colony Rye whiskey finished with French oak staves. This is wonderful. And when I say wonderful, I mean wonderful. You guys know how much I love the Penelope Architects, right? How those were finished with French oak staves with the bourbons. Now, with rye, when you finish a rye and French oak, you get a very deep, dark vanilla that wraps around with those baking spices and brings in a little bit more of like an apple tart with like a cinnamon toast crunch on top. That bottle, when I did that review of that, I was absolutely in shock with just how darn delicious it could be. And I had no idea. This was before I dove into ryes and was really trying to find a rye whiskey that I liked. And this at 94 proof, finished with French oak staves, 13th Colony. I've loved everything I've had for them. You know, we know they do really good things with the double oaked, and you know their newest release that I just did a review of, the maple spiral, really good. But just their regular offerings, guys, don't sleep on them, because they are phenomenal bottles that you will not be disappointed with whatsoever. Now, we've got one more bottle of rye whiskey, which is also going to be the last bottle of this that for some reason I completely forgot about that I had, because it sits in a tube in the back of the shelf, and it hasn't been sipped on in quite a while. And that bottle goes to the E.H. Taylor Straight Rye whiskey, bottled in bond, comes in at 100 proof, and I do think that this might be my favorite low proof. If you consider 100 proof to be low proof, I do think that this is my favorite low proof rye whiskey. The sweetness, the orange notes, the orange skin, the orange marmalade, with a little bit of like a Biscoff cookie, maybe some ginger snap in there. It's got a lot to offer. It's all over the place, and I love what that bottle has to offer. It is absolutely mind-blowing what 100 proof rye whiskey can do on your palate. You don't need the barrel proof stuff to give you a complete roller coaster of a ride. This rye, right? Let's do that pun, that roller coaster of a rye, because this is a roller coaster ride that I absolutely love. It twists and turns. I personally I don't like roller coasters to ride on, but when I'm sipping, I love roller coaster ride, and this one definitely gives you that enjoyment factor that I'm always looking for. Now, like I said, I want to know what bottles you completely forgot about that sit on the back of your shelves. Leave those down in the comments. And also make sure you guys check out that Patreon, because hopefully we'll be doing a Cedar Ridge pick here in the very near future. Until next time, this has been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.